You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You are now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th. The brothers are in the building. Starting off with my man, Jay Moore. How are you, good sir?
You know, I'm trying to keep it smooth and positive as we move into this holiday season.
I like that. I like that in you. I like that in you. My man, Lonegevity. How are you, buddy?
Doing all right. How you doing?
Doing good, man. Good to see you as always.
You too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
My man, DJ Jay Diff. What's happening, man?
Salutations. What's happening?
How are you, good sir?
All right, man. All right. Man.
Yeah, everything good your way?
Everything's good, man. Got a
copacetic.
good 4-day weekend ahead of me.
Nice.
Only one that doesn't have that.
All right. So
some of them K-Dot pants.
this is the first of many Kendrick segments.
Oh, yeah.
Starting off, what do you guys have any general thoughts overall? Keep it brief because we're going to talk about the other stuff, but any general thoughts about GNX?
I like the record. It is very West Coast. I love West Coast music. The effort's there. Records are there. Solid, man. It was a good listen for me. I enjoyed it.
It's nice when you can pay for those expensive samples. I mean, I don't know how expensive samples are. Maybe they've adjusted that sort of thing in this new marketplace, but I'm telling you, when you get Luther and sample SWV and whatever that song is on, you know.
I know what you're talking about. I can't call it.
there's other samples on.
Reincarnated, yep.
And so I'm listening to that. I'm like, okay. And then when I look at the credits, I was like, oh, it must be nice to have 2 and 3 top-notch producers working on one track. You know, like it's
shout out to Soundwave too. I think he co-produced everything.
Yeah. 11 of the tracks.
Yeah.
But,
he's actually a very,
maybe all of them. Yeah.
He's a very, very, very underrated, incredible producer.
Yeah. So
just go back through Dot's catalog.
Yeah. So I enjoy the album. Other than there's probably about maybe 2 or 3 songs where I'm like, but the rest of it I think is fire.
What you got, Terry?
The album is amazing. At first listen, I thought it was cool. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I had my favorite tracks even through the first run.
Right.
But the more I listened to it, the more I kind of appreciated the cohesiveness of what it is. I mean, it's not a typical Kendrick album where it's, you know what I'm saying, it sticks to like a storyline or a concept. Exactly, a concept of sorts. But I really like the album, man. It's West Coast. I love it.
Any thoughts, Sean?
It was okay.
We'll dive deeper here. Shortly.
Yeah, no. My first listen was, just transparency. Everybody listening that knows us probably knows that I'm not a huge Bay Area fan when it comes to production, and I could elaborate on that further, but maybe I will some other time. But it's just not a personal favorite of mine in general. So,
not from a Kendrick catalog point of view.
In general,
overall,
I don't like it in general.
Yeah, he's talking about period.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not to me, when I listened to it the first run, I was like, I listened to it on my laptop speakers while I was doing stuff, and I was just like, all right, like Kendrick is doing Kendrick things, which he never does not do Kendrick things, which is just he's a phenomenal artist, right? But production-wise, I thought it was extremely lacking until I was able to listen to it with speakers. And again, when you listen to Bay Area music, and not everything is Bay Area on there, but there is a lot of that influence on there, and it's a very low-end.
It's a particular sound.
It's very. The low end is extremely important on that particular style of music, and the cleanliness of it in this project definitely shines if you listen to it how it's supposed to be listened to. But without that, it was really kind of lacking some musical punch for me. It's not my favorite Kendrick project.
No.
I don't mind any of it. I just don't think it was made for me, and I think that's cool. You know what I mean?
Sure, that's cool. Yeah.
And it's like, but I'd still kind of appreciate it for what it is. But yeah, it's not my favorite thing.
Yeah,
so.
I think overall, like it's not the typical Kendrick record that I'm super excited over. But again, I think the more I listened to it, the more I liked it. The way he set it off though, with Whacked Off Murals, was
I like
crazy.
That. Yeah, I like that.
He went in the whole song. He was going in and pretty much letting you know, hey, I'm here now. Like, I'm not about to take these breaks no more.
You know what?
I'm about to really be outside on y'all. So
you know what I thought when my initial reaction to Whacked Out Murals was, this is a good Eminem beat. This is a really. That's what I thought when I heard. Because of how dark. Just to me. Just because of how dark it is with the strings and how it stayed dry for the whole time until the drums came in, I was like, "Yeah, this sounds like a really good Eminem beat." And he just once he started going off and it kept picking up, I was like, "Yeah, he's checking off all the boxes."
It was more sinister to me than an Eminem beat. Now, mind you,
most of Eminem is dark though.
Eminem he don't be playing when he get on the mic, but a lot of the beats be kind of.
They're sinister.
I don't want to say they're sinister, but they're different type of sinister.
They're corny.
Okay, there we go. Whacked Out Murals doesn't sound corny.
It's got the same type of sinister type of feel, but it's just not like it's got like there's just like funk in it.
It's a better version. That's what I'm saying. It's a better version of what I typically hear him over. But that's just the space it took me to from a production standpoint.
No, I like.
But he killed it though.
Yeah, I like the Phil Collins joint. I liked a lot. The sound like a one mic joint. The garden Man in the Garden.
Fire.
Joint. Like, I like that record. I like Gloria the most. I think that was
Gloria's dope.
Like, I think that's really good. I like The Heart Part 6. I like Whacked Out Murals. I could have done without almost all of the other, like, mustard type joints. Like personally, except for the second half of TV Off. Like, I think when that switched in with, like, the real sounding horns and everything, like, that had a different type of feel to it than the first half of it. Because it sounded like Not Like Us Part 2 at first. I'm like, all right.
Which it is. And I saw you say that in the chat.
That. I still didn't pick up on. I tried to hear that. Yeah. And I still don't.
Beat-wise?
Beat-wise, to me, it don't sound like that.
Man.
It didn't to me at first until he said it, bro. And I went back and listened.
Oh, my gosh.
I can see where he's going with that.
Because I don't like the Not Like Us beat either. Like, it's.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, too, when you had mentioned that at first. I was like, well, you didn't even like Like Us either. So
I like Squabble Up though. I ain't gonna lie. I like Squabble Up.
It's it's okay.
I've been waiting on that since I heard the preview on Not Like Us.
Yeah, I like Squabble
Again,
Up.
like, I don't hate anything. It's just like some things I just like a little bit more than others. Yeah. And that I would just miss. But my issue with a lot of the Bay Area stuff too, especially like stuff he's rapping on, is it's extremely repetitive. And
you're talking about the production.
Yeah, and I get bored listening to it.
But you know what, Lone? This is it's stripped. The production that he's rapping on over those Bay joints is way more stripped down from what we usually hear him over.
For sure.
Right? On top of that, with how you normally feel or you've consistently felt about the Bay. So yeah, I can see when as I started listening to it, I'm like, I see why based off knowing you.
Right.
What your response is.
It's just like, and I'm listening to it from a very particular type of ear too, so I can appreciate it. But at the same time, it's just like, I kind of want it to change. Give me something more than just Kendrick. Like,
this is the prime example of the conversation that will arise every once in a while that we talk about when we say ears, how your ears are trained or programmed to listen. What you're describing right now, you can't turn it. You cannot turn it off.
Right.
You can't. Like, this is the prime example of what we mean when we say that. He's describing it, literally describing it right now. I ain't mad at you. It is what it is.
One of those things of what are you into?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So my vibe is always usually what I was drawn to as far as being a hip hop fan. I've liked all coasts, East Coast, West Coast, South, but that particular sound from the West Coast always resonated with me. I feel like he's just paying homage to the West Coast on this album.
That's kind of what I feel, and I think that's another topic we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we definitely talk about that for sure.
But I like the project. I want to get that out the way. But those that know me would probably be like, I thought you didn't like. Well, I still don't. But
let's go ahead and jump in there. Let's get it.
All right. So obviously, Kendrick surprised us, the world, last week by dropping a new album in GNX. As with any polarizing artist, the project is getting mixed reviews. And some are curious, is GNX a precursor to a more conceptual album? Is it a handful of throwaways similar to kind of like what Untitled Unmastered was? Mm-hmm. Is it a way to get fresh material for the Super Bowl or to further drive the stake into this summer's activities? But it leads to the question, what was the purpose of Kendrick Lamar's GNX project? What's the purpose of this release? That's the question that I pose.
Kendrick is pretty much on 2024 in my personal opinion.
He's absolutely
in hip hop. So
no doubt.
It's like he doesn't want to take his foot off the gas. Hence the title GNX, and he's been alluding to this GNX for a while.
Yep.
So he's been posting certain shots with where you can see the car. You might only see the front. You might have seen when he just got it. You might have seen the inside of the car. You might have seen a magazine spread that had a piece of the car featured as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's actually been a build up to this album.
With the purpose of the project, I think it's pretty much drive the rest of the stake into what he's been doing throughout the course of the year, and a precursor to the Super Bowl and something else. So I don't know what something else is. I was talking to the homie Pete Sake, a rapper in Chicago, one of our friends. He said he thinks it's a precursor to something else.
I mentioned that too in the chat.
Terry mentioned that as well. Those are two people I heard it from, but that's what I think it is. He's just riding out at the end of the year, dropping something to establish his dominance and confirm his dominance, and then lead into the Super Bowl and keep everybody else guessing as to what's coming next. That's literally what I think it is.
I mean, he come outside like Omar, like for real,
Straight up.
like he's living up to the whole boogeyman.
Well, what they say, pressure. This release is 100% about pressure.
Sometimes you just got to pop out and show them.
That's it.
And I think he heard what people had to say about Mr. Morale, because once again, I've said how much I enjoy that project, but it's not an easy album to listen to.
Yeah.
It's not a casual listen.
Nowhere near one of my
It
favorites.
makes sense for Kendrick though.
Yeah, and he said, basically, he did that album for himself. He just let us listen to it. He did this album for, I think, first and foremost, everybody on the West Coast that held him down, and who, is almost appreciation. When you saw what that concert, on Juneteenth was, this in context of that, it makes a lot of sense, the direction of the sound of this album. I don't think this is leading into some high concept, he's still an MC.
Yeah.
And he wants to establish his prowess with his pen and on the microphone, and sometimes it doesn't have to be this whole thing about therapy and family. It might I just need you to hear these songs and me going buck wild and let you know that I am him.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what this is, and I appreciate it for that.
It's a situation I told Mike too. When Jay-Z dropped Hard Knock Life, the album, as a Jay-Z fan, that wasn't one of my favorite albums.
No.
But what it did, it brought in other people that were more into like a commercially successful artist.
Mm-hmm.
It had that commercial sound, so to speak. It had shit that you could dance to, essentially. People been saying Kendrick can't drop stuff for people to have fun to in the club. He just gave you a whole album full of it to pretty much say, hey, I really can do that. That's not me all the time. I'm an artist.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do what I want to do. And at the same time, like you said, he wanted to give homage to the West Coast.
Yeah.
So it's got that bounce to it. It's moving. I mean, of course, he's got a couple songs that are kind of more slowed down or kind of semi-serious, but not the typical Kendrick serious that you get most of the time. This is like a Kendrick Lamar, I hate to say for dummies.
Yeah.
Essentially. I don't want to say that. But
he said it himself in the Squabble video.
That's crazy. But yeah, it's like, this is me. I want y'all to come on in and enjoy the ride. Hop in the GNX.
He said it on Whacked Out Murals. This is not for the lyricists.
Yeah.
Not about double entendres. Not about none of that. So he's setting the stage, even though he still rapped his ass off throughout the project.
Exactly.
He still was like, look, this is not that. Like, we really about to go, I'm going another direction. And Lone even alluded to using the word polarizing. And that's one thing I've noticed is, and Terry and I had a conversation about this, it's almost flipped. So he's giving people what they want in terms of being able to make those types of records.
The people.
Yeah,
The people.
the masses, the people. The
haters, essentially.
Well, that part. Thank you. But he's essentially giving you what you've said was his left hand, his weakness or whatever. He's giving you
what
that.
He couldn't do.
What he couldn't do, right? He can't go left, so he goes left.
Mm-hmm.
Pulls it off, executes going left. Now I see people that are Kendrick fans that have followed him that seem upset about the project because it's not so deep. It's not so thematic or schemed. I'm like, it's still good though. How can we not see the good in it because he's pivoted?
I think some people just want artists to stay true to who they are and not have to play off of the
Trends?
person as much. You know, like, just give me you. I don't need you to give me you based upon what you think other people want you to be.
Do you think this is not Kendrick?
Well, I haven't answered this question. So I think that this is Kendrick wanting to stick the stake in all the way and say, in case you thought that there was 3, there's really only 1. And I'm going to continue to tell you until there's no question anymore.
We on the same page, my friend.
That's what this is. And I'm going to do it with all West Coast, with the West Coast behind me, where I'm from. Big up all that stuff. Like,
Facts.
I'm going to build. That's what I think that this is.
Yeah, I agree.
We on the same page, sir.
Yeah, I
we are
agree
on the
with
same page.
You know, but so I don't remember what your question was, but
No, it's cool. I was just talking about the fact that people are that he went left and now people are mad about him going left.
I can understand that sometimes. Like, if my favorite artist continues to put out great music or something that I really like over and over again, and then he all of a sudden or she pivots and does something different, then I'm like, man, I really like this person and I really like the lane they were in. I kind of wish they were still there. Now, do I think the fan has any say in what the artists do? No, not at all.
they don't.
Not at all. But I can understand the sentiment of wanting them to kind of stay true to who they are and not play into the haters, essentially, or the people that are going to criticize you because they don't understand or they don't resonate with what you've been doing.
Well, here's the thing too with the track list. When I looked at it and went back and listened to it, and you know, talking about what we're talking about in terms of him with the pivot, there are still sprinkles of that. There's Man in the Garden. There's Gloria. There's
like,
The Hard Part 6. There's Reincarnation. There's Whacked Out Murals. I'm still here, but I'm also putting my coastal one in the process.
I would say,
you see what I'm saying?
As Mia fan, I would say the only one that kind of resonated with me in that aspect was probably Gloria.
Just Gloria.
And maybe The Heart Part 6. The other ones were a little bit, the Luther record kind of, but I feel like
I like that.
I feel like the Luther record was, I feel like he's kind of done records like that before, but I feel like he's done those type of records better.
Well, it's because you heard him and SZA. Him and SZA are a winning pair.
Very good combination.
So whenever they get together, it has that same feel.
Yeah.
But it's different. But I mean, I respected everything he did on here. Even the songs I didn't like GNX, it was throwing me off.
That's not even on the album though, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it? I thought it was like a bonus track or something.
No, the title track I think is GNX, and that's on the album. That's the one that has the something like that. But that's one of the only songs that kind of threw me off a little bit, as far as I could probably do without it. But again, listening to it differently in different speakers makes it sound different.
For sure.
Yeah.
And as a whole, I mean, the album is only like 45 minutes.
Which
I can let the whole thing ride and be perfectly fine with it.
Glad he didn't overdo it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he hit all the marks he was supposed to hit on this one, man. He let people know that I can do what you think I can't do and still remain true to myself. Because I don't think he sacrificed or conceded anything by putting out this album.
I don't either. And even as somebody like coming from like, this isn't one of my favorite projects by him. I don't think he did either. I think he just artistically took it a different direction, and I can appreciate that.
It's always been my belief that it's easier for Kendrick to do this than it is other artists to come into his world. I think it's
absolutely.
And I say this over and over again, and I always say this is the difference. When we talk about artists, he's one of those people that this is the difference. This is the outcast. This is the chameleon, but the quality never suffers.
Drake doesn't have any one of Kendrick's types of projects.
That's my whole point. That's what I keep telling people on is like, to me, it's easier for Kendrick to do this than it is Drake to come here. I stand on that.
I don't even want to. It's weird. I don't even want to talk about Drake in that sense compared to this album.
That's fair, but what I'm saying,
but I understand what you're saying.
What I'm saying,
I just don't want it to lead down that path.
Fair.
Right.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I do think that that's a thing. Like the stuff that he does, like because I think it's in the approach too.
It's in the approach,
and I think how Drake approach. Not talk about Drake, but and a lot of artists, not every artist, but a lot of artists that are typically trying to stay in the spotlight, if you will, they're just following a formula, you know. And not to say Kendrick's not following a formula to a degree, but it's like
there are variations in the formula, bro. When it comes out,
but there's like a difference between an artistic formula and a capitalist formula. I guess.
Facts.
So
you got me there.
When we talk about Kendrick, though, Kendrick's. None of his albums sound the same, though. So this is kind of on par to Kendrick's style.
That is facts.
Like if you first heard him on Good Kid, Mad City, and didn't hear Section 80 prior. If you heard
true.
Good Kid, Mad City and was like, man, this dude is fire, and went back and listened to Section 80, you like, man, this is a whole different Kendrick here, but it's still good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then when you go forward to Pimp a Butterfly, this is a whole different Kendrick. You get a different variation of Kendrick on every album. And there's still flashes of what you know and love from Kendrick, but it's always going to be a different version of where I'm at. He even alluded on the album to, I'm the primary reason why Black Hippie never happened.
Yeah.
Because I moved on creatively. I was in a different space. So pretty much blame that on me as to why we never got Black Hippie. Everybody else is on board.
Yeah.
He also talked about how he came up with concepts and would get back home and they would do 2 or 3 songs, so that idea is scrapped.
Yeah.
So he's somebody that kind of lives and pivots and wants to do certain things. So you always get a different, you know what I'm saying, variation of what Kendrick is essentially on these albums.
Yep. And I can appreciate that. So, on the intro of Kendrick Lamar's GNX album, he had a bar where he said he felt he may have let Lil Wayne down due to him being so upset over not getting the Super Bowl halftime nod in New Orleans. And Lil Wayne responded with the message suggesting that Kendrick doesn't want any smoke. Did Lil Wayne get in his feelings a bit too much, and will we see a response from Kendrick? Now, if you didn't know, what Lil Wayne said was, man, WTF, I do. I just be chillin' and they still come for my head. Let's not take kindness for weakness. Let this giant sleep. I'm talking Wayne, but I beg you all.
No. We don't need that. We don't need that.
No one really wants destruction, not even me, but I shall destroy if disturbed. On me, love.
You know exactly what you did.
Yeah.
Wayne has been crying. Okay, I don't want to say crying because that's harsh. I don't want
It's
to.
like one step below crying.
I wouldn't go
mean,
that far.
You know,
Close.
but it's all
Tearing
like,
at the eyes.
yeah,
There you go.
it's statements, it's videos about like what you thought you deserved based on the fact that Super Bowl is in your city, and
For playing a team that you don't even support.
well, there you go.
That's a bar.
And so I don't know if maybe whatever substances that he enjoys have clouded his memory, but that's the thing about this modern age of technology. We can bring up what you did. We've talked about it on this show.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it last week, or at least I said something about it last week or in the last couple of weeks.
13 Things Lil Wayne was last week.
Yeah. So when he says no one congratulated him but Nas, like
That was very telling.
Talking about Kendrick.
yeah. And I'm thinking, well, okay, I think Kendrick has a certain group of people he thought maybe he'd hear from. Like, cause I'm pretty sure there are people who shot, his crew and, but as far as like the big dogs, I'm pretty sure he wanted to hear from, Nas, Snoop. I'm pretty sure he heard from
Snoop.
Jay.
Somebody that he called out on the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think we all thought that was kind of suspect when Snoop posted Drake's song.
Yeah.
And didn't say anything about Kendrick during that whole beef.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think, this is a little bit of, in those particular lines from the new album, that's Kendrick being in his feelings. But, that's kind of where Kendrick can reside sometimes.
That's true as well.
But with Lil Wayne, like we've been hearing you just like, I tell, once again, I'll say it again, you cannot complain and whine your way onto the Super Bowl stage. Had you just been congratulatory and said, man, do a great job in my city, we'll be rooting for you. That's all you had to do. Like that would have been seen as so incredibly gracious. But, when you're somebody that feels entitled to things, like you don't get it. You just don't get things because you think that you deserve them. That's just not how the world works. Not for any of us, and not for Lil Wayne either. I don't know. Like I hope this is the last thing he says about any of this. Yeah. Because at this point, it's just coming off as sour grapes. And I want better for Kendrick because he has been given the opportunity and that stage. And I want Lil Wayne to reside in the greatness that has been bestowed upon him from his fans and not continually complain about what he has not been given, considering he's already been given so much.
Yeah. No, that's real. That's real. I think Wayne, I don't even look at this as poking the bear. It's just a clever way of being able to, discuss him not getting what he thought he should have received as he was awarded the Super Bowl. I look at this as a diss. If you go back and look, Kendrick has always spoke highly of Wayne, always showing him love. He talks about him being one of his biggest influences. So
Kendrick was on, what was that? The Carter 5?
Was he?
Yeah. I mean, you know.
I had to go back. I'm not going to lie. I had to go back.
I remember, because I remember that was a Lil Wayne. That was the only Lil Wayne album I said I was bored by.
Yeah.
I wonder if this too, like the line where he said, "I feel like I let Lil Wayne down," was like kind of a reference to J. Cole's song "Let Nas Down," because he also referenced Nas later on as well. Like there's an interesting type of play on words as well. But yeah, I don't know. The whole Wayne, like, it's just weird to see like Lil Wayne get upset, and Kendrick he takes things personal. Like you can tell
clearly,
and he obviously right. And I think that was the thing that I was curious about. I was like, do you think Kendrick's going to address this?
I don't know, man. I kind of think, me personally, that on this particular song, he may not have been talking or taking a shot at Lil Wayne. He's just addressing the situation like I actually follow you, looked up to you.
Right.
And
I feel like I let you down
because I got the Super Bowl. Yeah, I made the Super Bowl and it turned into, well, why isn't, you know what I'm saying, Lil Wayne performing at the Super Bowl? But there's a couple other things, and I could be alluding here, that I kind of heard he might be talking to Lil Wayne on this album a little bit.
Interesting.
Like even on Man in the Garden, the whole keep going back and forth to I Deserve It All over the Nas kind of sample of One Mic. And leading up to, he's explaining why I deserve all these accolades and pretty much why I'm going to be doing the Super Bowl. I deserve all this love that I'm receiving right now. There's a reason why I'm getting it.
Yeah.
And he addressed it there just simply as all the hard work I've been putting in. I feel like I let him down. But there's a specific line that I thought was funny. Or what is TV off?
TV off.
So at the end of that record, he says, I'm gonna walk in New Orleans with the etiquette of LA yelling, and then goes back into the song.
Who is that? LA who?
So this is what Kendrick said.
No, I mean, what's the word? What's the name of the etiquette of who?
The etiquette of LA.
Ah, I see.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying?
You just don't move around LA.
Yeah.
Without.
I see.
The whole checking in thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's like, I'm coming to New Orleans, and I'm pretty much gonna own it like it's LA. This whole album, he's pumping his chest out like, I really ain't scared of none of y'all.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna call any and everybody out. And if y'all got a problem with it, say something.
And I will reply.
What about, and not to stray too far from, I don't know if you guys have much more to say about specifically the Wayne part, but
kinda.
Okay. But there was that other piece in Waxed Out Murals where like the whole line was cut out. And
yes.
And I was very curious, like, because there's been some Ice Cube conversations as well.
Ice Cube, so it's funny, I started listening to the Ice Cube album right before Kendrick came out. So I'm listening to it as I'm getting messages that Kendrick dropped an album.
Right.
Ice Cube referenced something on that album during my listen that said I was Kendrick before Kendrick.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I did hear that part. He said that. I don't think he's really getting at Ice Cube like that though. Now they did blank out Puffy's name on Whacked Out.
Was that what that was?
That wasn't that line.
That long one.
But there's one where he said
real short.
something.
Yeah, it's real short.
You can tell he said Puff and they took it out.
I see.
But yeah, I kind of think if he's not getting that Wayne, I don't think he's getting that Wayne on Whacked Out.
Yeah.
But he might be poking the bear. But if he is, being a Wayne fan, Wayne is not a battle rapper.
Right.
Who has Wayne demolished or destroyed? And when you heard his lighter go off, is because he's about to really rap against somebody.
Certainly wasn't Pusha T.
No, it definitely wasn't him.
Yeah,
What's so
when
crazy?
you hear the lighter go off, it means that Wayne is about to rap his ass off. But it's not in reference to anybody in specifically. You know what I'm saying?
Man, Wayne is a whole legend, and I agree with you. Wayne is a whole legend. We all know that. But I wouldn't take a flyer on this one. I would leave this one alone and just stay a legend, and just like Lone said, I wouldn't even bring it up no more, because I've told y'all, we've talked about Wayne a lot. We just talked about him last week. Like, Wayne is a whole legend, but
he's a dude, but
this ain't it. I don't think this is it. I don't think this is it. And I think Kendrick should just ride out, go to the Super Bowl, do your thing, and just keep paying homage because there's nothing else left here. I don't even want to see that. Like, it's not necessary.
I mean, if he was going to do something, he just had a whole slaughtering of Drake, which is somebody that's on your label, essentially. You didn't say anything. Wayne is not, he's not that type of rapper.
No.
He's going to bar you up on some bravado type shit, but it's not going to be some I'm battling and I got information on you and I'm gonna trash you like that. That's not the type of artist he is.
I'm gonna throw Drake a little bit of bail though. I'm not gonna say he got slaughtered, but he did lose.
Pusha T.
I'm talking about the Kendrick. I don't think he got slaughtered.
I think that was, you know.
I'm not gonna say slaughtered because
that man is hanging upside down by his legs.
People have been yelling a minor in the club for,
I ain't gonna say
for the last
slaughtered, but
5-6 months.
Kendrick definitely got him up out of there.
Maybe we have different definitions of what a slaughter is, but I don't know.
Drake had a couple of them joints where I had to sit up in my seat and be like, now.
I'm not gonna take another. I'm not here to slaughter or
defund the police.
Yeah. I'm not going to discredit Drake. Drake when he want to rap, is an elite MC.
The boy nice.
Who he actually patterns his style off of early.
Yeah.
Would explain all of that. But when Drake actually raps, he's for real. And I'm not going to sit here and say that when the battle was going on, Drake didn't have anything to say. He actually was really clever. His joints was good, but Kendrick was just a step ahead of him every time, and he was ready to go.
Yeah.
And he could not, like, say the Family Matters dropped, Kendrick didn't follow right back up. He didn't even give it a minute to breathe.
Yeah.
What was crazy.
That Family Matters was actually crazy.
Oh, no.
When I heard it, I'm like, damn, this is serious.
When I heard Family Matters, I said, okay.
Yeah, but then you immediately said, oh, wait, there's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, so he took the wind out of his sail. He was like, nah, this is me. I want this whole moment. Matter of fact, I want this whole year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm dropping this album now. You know what I'm saying? But nah, I don't know. I feel like Kendrick wants to prove himself because he has a whole lot of GOAT conversations too on this album. As far as you think you the GOAT, I'm the Black Moses, I slaughtered the GOAT.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of that type stuff on this album. So I feel like Kendrick is pretty much staking his claim as I'm really at the top of the mountain right now, and I'm not backing off of that.
I like him on Demon Time.
Anybody got something to say?
Come on.
He started it with whacked out murals and pretty much letting you know
everybody is questionable.
Yes. Yes. He said, I don't make friends in this game like that. So if anybody want to get it, they can get it.
But the fact that he had, and somebody correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, he had 11 artists that had under 1 million streams monthly that were featured on this album. And it went all the way down to artists that had 1K and another one had 6K. Those are all of his features for this project.
Except for SZA.
Yeah.
So, and I think maybe one other big feature. Sir. Okay.
So what was Sir on?
Was Sir on there?
Man, I'm tripping.
Not Sir.
Who am I thinking about?
Luther Vandross?
No.
I think he was on the song Luther.
I hate you. I really hate you.
That's your favorite.
That is part of my label, so I'm getting kickback.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
You know what I'm saying? So.
But I say that to say that's the part that I think is extremely dope to go to the West Coast theme.
Roddy Ricch.
Thank you. Roddy Ricch. So outside of them, everybody else is relatively unknown, at least to me, because now I have 11 people that I can go look up. So that's putting on for your coast. Everybody helped you. Somebody helped you to get to where you are. I think that's dope. To me, that's fire.
I think that's the underlining thing here. Like he's showcasing so many reasons why he is in that top slot.
Yeah.
And I think he's being a good example of it as well. Because the fact that he is literally putting on people from his area that he does not have to do.
That's his whole goal on this joint.
I'm just saying, like,
can you imagine having under 1,000 streams monthly and being on a Kendrick Lamar album that he just drops?
Man.
Can you imagine?
That changes everything for you.
Can you imagine singing at a Dodgers game?
Yeah.
Doing mariachi?
Yeah.
Bruh. And that voice is crazy.
I'm just saying, like I feel like there's a different type of statement being made here by Kendrick, and And I really like the aspect of it. It goes into the whole like planting a tree when you're not going to see the tree grow or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like you're not going to see the fruit from it, but you're still planting the tree, right? It's like
it's there.
It's like that aspect of like putting back into enriching the culture and bringing those up around you when you don't have to. Like, you are Kendrick Lamar, you can do this whole thing solo with just Soundwave. Like, that's all he has to do.
Literally,
he's literally giving back to the community.
That's what I mean. And like, I feel like we need more of this in general in hip hop culture in general, in every single city, of people that are doing well to bring others along with them. And we don't see that. And so the example that he's setting there, I appreciate. Let's run the partners real quick, and then we have a couple other Kendrick conversations. Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member. All details on newoldheads.com. All right, so with the recent push that Kendrick Lamar has had in 2024, with completely demolishing the Big Three argument.
It's just me.
With the takedown of both Drake and J. Cole this summer, and I did say both of them because he did take them both down, even if Cole bowed out.
Still went down.
The summer cultural hit Not Like Us and his new Super West Coast project in GNX, has Atlanta been overtaken by the West?
No.
No. But the resurgence is dope. I love it. I'm excited about it, and I hope to see it continue to grow legs. But no.
But this is the thing.
Why do you say no, though?
Look, I mean, because we're so used to saying Atlanta's running things, and I think about, once again, seeing how culture moves in real time. Glorilla is from where?
Memphis.
Okay. Meg Thee Stallion is from where?
Texas.
Houston. Taking it back, even, where is Sexy Red from?
Not the
St. Louis.
Midwest.
Okay. There we go. Shout out to Midwest. If we're going to take it back,
we're talking specifically regional.
So no, what I'm saying is we're so used to saying Atlanta got it.
Yeah.
That it's been moving around for a minute.
I see what you're saying.
No, I'm not even saying the South. Because technically St. Louis is Midwest.
Yeah.
We're talking about the West Coast. We're talking about, Texas is the South, but
Texas is
the South that is Texas is a lot different than the South that is Memphis and is Atlanta.
Don't let Pimp C hear you say that.
Please.
Oh, well, let's
rest in peace.
But I guess so. Maybe it's the idea that Atlanta is the mecca of, or is the new mecca,
the flashpoint of
Atlanta's the new Motown.
For sure.
Yeah,
like that's been the thing, right? But with what Kendrick is kind of doing and how he is
concentrating power,
exactly, he is concentrating on the West Coast with his projects, with the West Coast getting behind him, but then also the other artists. That it's not like the West Coast ever went away, right?
No.
They've always been strong, but like with the newfound leader of hip hop, if you will, and that's arguable, if you want to consider it new, but with Kendrick claiming and taking his throne essentially without anybody like really challenging him at this point, I feel like that argument can really could be made.
I feel like if we're going to be realistic though, between Tyler, Ab-Soul put out an incredible project.
Very good.
Doechii.
Yep, Doechii as well. She's from
Florida.
Yeah, but where is she based now?
Yeah.
But Jay, to your point, I'm looking at,
and then we talk
Cube,
TDE. Let's just
let's just say TDE.
Cube.
And honestly, the two songs that I've heard from Missionary, from Snoop and Dre, it's about to be a problem.
So that's the age gap to me is what makes this dope about the resurgence, because it's the OGs that we grew up on all the way down to Kendrick, and then
the
group of the younger people that are younger than him.
He literally just put on.
So that gives them a leg in the race. I'm just saying, and we could be indoctrinated from the standpoint of just thinking about Atlanta, like y'all said. But, bro,
Tyler
is no Tyler's for sure. But what I'm saying is that South, if you want to just take it from Atlanta but still go to the South, I still think that's the dominant.
Yes, you can say
presence.
you can say the South. You could, because right now, if you're going to say the South, that's a whole region.
If you want to
Texas,
pivot it to the South outside
Memphis,
of Atlanta,
Florida,
right.
But then I'm talking about right now, just LA, Southern California is putting numbers on the board.
Off Tyler and Kendrick alone, They didn't smack everybody else to me.
Then on the R&B
Especially-
side, you got SZA.
But
she's
like,
right there.
Facts.
but
Facts.
I think like even let's think beyond this. This is the argument that I want to bring.
Okay.
Beyond simple sales. When we talk about like cultural movement within what Kendrick is doing and the fact that he is selling,
Yeah.
but also like
Tyler too.
Tyler's unique cultural push. Doechie's, granted, she's TDE, but she's not definitely Florida. But like, I feel like there's something to be said with like the fact that the West Coast LA based stuff isn't super like commercial heavy in the
Right.
sense like it's not like that's not the first thing. But when you think of like Atlanta, you think of, oh, this person because they're selling.
100%.
It's not like the
Yeah.
music is good and then this. It's like, nah, when you talk about the West Coast, it's the
Stop it.
music and then they're also doing well.
Because
It's the product first. That's
when we
facts,
talk about
Lon.
that
That's
reason,
facts.
it's like it rings off in the clubs and then the strip clubs. But when we're talking about Tyler, we talk about Kendrick, we talk about SZA, we talk about basically everything that's on TDE. We're talking about artistic integrity.
We're talking about the sound essentially. So
Yeah.
So what I'll say to that is like they always say that history repeats itself.
Mm-hmm.
So right now what we're experiencing is what Big was talking about on Life After Death. I'm trying to sell records like Snoop. He literally let you know that at that point in time, the West Coast had the crown. He said Snoop, but that was a whole movement. That was the G-Funk era
Yeah.
that they talked about. Now, granted, East Coast still was putting on. I mean, Wu-Tang and all them were coming up at the same time.
Yeah.
But the sounds were different. This is what Tyler was talking about, how everybody sounds like clones. What
He
the
did.
West Coast is doing, they're not, nobody essentially sounds the same.
Yeah.
So, like, if we point at Atlanta, we know what the influence is there.
Mm-hmm.
We know what the sound is there. It's very similar. Nobody in Atlanta has moved the needle to the point where we're like, oh, let's check them out.
Except for like Earth Gang, maybe, I guess.
Earth Gang, okay,
you know,
Earth Gang,
or Jay.
and
That's a big outlier. Earth
they
Gang.
are,
Yeah.
and they actually just dropped
they're-
a very dope album.
But they're the exception.
They're the exception.
Very big exception.
And JID,
Yeah.
JID,
Yep.
whatever you want to call him.
He's cold.
But
And
when,
Mike.
when you think about on the grand scheme of things, or like what's being pushed or what you hear the most, it's kind of the same type of thing, unless, like Jay Moore said, we go regional and just say the South.
Yeah.
So now, I mean, LA is a big enough state to compete with just the South, essentially. But you have artists that are really putting on and doing what they got to do, and doing it different sounds. So I'm interested to hear what the Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg project actually sounds like going forward.
Yeah.
To kind of cement that, because Ice Cube is crazy. So Kendrick dropped a project to overshadow Ice Cube's whole release.
I thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
True.
Unfortunately, a lot of people haven't even listened to that Ice Cube.
Yeah.
A week prior, Ab Soul dropped an album.
Yeah.
Ab Soul's album is fire.
I listened to it.
And Kendrick alludes to, that's what kind of made me kind of polish my pen, essentially,
On the Hard
is
Part
listening
6.
to Ab Soul rap. And Ab Soul is kind of like a rapper's rapper, essentially.
Yeah.
He's not anybody that's like a mainstream or somebody that's even aspiring to be mainstream, but he's a rapper's rapper. You can't deny his lyrical talent.
True.
And I don't know, the West Coast just is one of them situations where they got something to say, and it's just different, I guess, man.
And be clear, Chromacopia out here moving units.
Yes.
I saw a live performance of him doing pretty essentially the record. The whole crowd knew it. And it's like he's moving units with it.
Because people aren't just, oh, I listened to it that first week. People are living with
They knew
this.
every
They're
song,
living
bro.
with that,
I
Tyler.
watched it. They knew every song. So I say that to say, to me, I would love for this to continue to balance everything out.
He actually
with the West.
opened up at the pop-up show.
Yeah. Like
So-
I'd love it. I'd love for this to happen. I would, but right now I still think, even if you want to go outside of Atlanta, I still think it's Southern.
I don't know. I don't know if I really agree with that.
I think it's Southern.
because when you also talk about the extensions too, we haven't talked about the Alchemists and the and the Mad Libs as from a producer
Cali.
aspect. It's
yeah.
Cali. It's Cali. You know, when you talk about Blue and Exile are dropping new albums and stuff and moving stuff. When you talk about Pac Divs are back. Larry June's back.
Larry June is very popular.
It's like there's a big West Coast movement.
Hell,
right now.
Ab Soul's record produced by Ninth Wonder got Vince Staples on it. Like
Vince Staples.
Yeah,
Ninth-
Vince Staples.
I didn't know Ninth produced that record.
Yeah, he produced that record. I saw.
Oh,
they
you
was-
mean the specific song? Gotcha.
Yeah, and they produced. And they had a video for that, and I saw Vince Staples out there with Ab Soul and a whole bunch of other people.
Vince
So
Staples got a whole Netflix TV show.
yeah, so I mean, listen, I'm for it. I just think right now, I don't know, Lone. I still think it's down there right now. But
Okay.
I hope I'm wrong. I swear I do.
I don't know. I when you put everything together, this is another West Coast renaissance that we're probably moving into 2025 with.
Time
I hope
repeats
so.
itself.
I hope so.
I love it.
The musicality that the West Coast brings to hip hop is something that
different.
is sort of, when they're really in their bag,
Yeah,
that's when you get
You know
those,
why?
it's a good product,
Yeah.
bro.
That's
Because
when you
it's
get those
influenced by the Midwest. I just love saying
No,
it.
you're
That's
right
true.
because
But I love that you keep saying
love
that,
it.
so they know.
I mean
love
that's
that.
Zapp and Roger, that's Midwest.
Come on,
True.
man.
I was just having this conversation with some of my students last night. I was like talking about how West Coast influence, the Kendrick project is, even from like some of the funky type bass lines.
yeah.
And I was like, it's interesting because like all that is realistically influenced from the Midwest anyway.
Facts.
Bootsy
So it's like,
Collins,
even though we
Midwest.
call it the West Coast, it's really Midwest.
Come on, man.
They I mean, granted, and I ain't gonna take nothing away from the West Coast. West Coast definitely put their flavor on it.
For sure.
But the kind of the influence going in is a whole lot of Midwest in there, man.
Facts.
That's all I gotta say.
Facts.
And I guess West is part of Midwest, so
Kind of. I
can say
always
that.
consider it as Mid-East. I don't.
yeah, it's,
yeah,
it is.
they're a long,
That's
they're a
what-
long
that's
way
on the
away,
map.
bro.
Yeah.
They're a long way away.
Okay. So you guys say maybe not. I say
Not yet, Lone. I hope I'm wrong, but not yet. Bro.
I think you're wrong. I think
I'll take that.
There's a
I think it's a
possibility.
renaissance. All right, so this is kind of a deep dive here to close out our Kendrick show. So right on time with Kendrick Lamar's new GNX album dropping, Drake has stuck his head in the window and said that he wants some spotlight too. So he's made news by accusing UMG and Spotify of a scheme to artificially inflate Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us song. The statement is UMG did not rely on chance or even ordinary business practices, attorneys for Drake's company, right? It instead launched a campaign to manipulate and saturate the streaming services and airwaves. Now, we can go through the article, but before we go through the article, I want to play this video because after we play this video, we might not need to go through the article.
Facts.
So,
His name is Lawyer for Workers.
Good job.
Lawyer for Workers. All right.
Yeah, Lawyer
so,
for Workers.
So he had this breakdown, so let's listen to this.
I've been around a lot of rappers and legal drama, and this is the best one I've ever seen when you understand it. So first, this isn't a lawsuit. It's a petition where Drake is asking the court to require Universal Music Group to give him evidence that he needs to bring a RICO lawsuit and a lawsuit alleging illegal business practices. What he says is, I don't know who the other people were involved with Universal, but under the law, Universal has to tell me who they are so I can sue them for the following: civil RICO, deceptive business practices. What these people did is they used illegal bots to make it seem like Not Like Us was a lot more popular than it actually was. They cite to in Academics interview where Academics is on stream talking to some dude, and the dude says, I got paid $5,000 and promised a % of Not Like Us in exchange for delivering 30 million fake bot streams when Not Like Us first launched so that it would seem more popular than it was and the algorithms would bump it up everywhere. What's really interesting about Drake's claim is that if you watch the Academics interview, Academics questions the veracity, the truth of this guy saying, hey bro, are you sure somebody promised you points for bot streams? There's producers and engineers and people who feature on songs who don't get a % of the song, and somebody promised you? Academics questioned this guy's story. Anyway, Drake's lawyers saw it fit for a filing in a New York state court, and they say, look, this is some evidence of the bots. Then they say that Universal typically takes a cut in order for somebody like Spotify to put a Universal song on Spotify, and that in this case, Universal wanted Not Like Us to be more popular, and so they agreed to take a lower cut, and they gave it to Spotify on the low, cheaper. They paid radio for plays that, hey, Universal Music Group, in order to make Not Like Us artificially popular, popular, paid people in radio. Apparently, they claim that all of this is illegal and that it caused damage to Drake by reducing his popularity, getting him less streams. They argue that streaming is a zero-sum game. Every time Not Like Us got streamed, it resulted in Drake not getting a stream because you necessarily can't get a stream if everybody's listening to something else on that day. And they have all these other wild allegations in there, including this idea that Universal is firing people who have loyalty to Drake and preferring people who have loyalty to Kendrick. They also claim that Universal told Drake that, hey, none of this is our problem. Your problems are with Mr. Lamar. You should sue. Kendrick Lamar's last name, by the way, is Duckworth. They say your problems are with Mr. Duckworth. You should sue Mr. Duckworth. And if you sue Mr. Duckworth, maybe we'll jump in there with you. Because what I think is happening here, first off, my mind is spinning because I can't imagine that you're relying on a source that academics questioned and that. But here's what I think is happening. I think you might have a situation where Drake realized that Not Like Us and everything around that song and this battle has forever tarnished his earning ability and his ability to make that money. This is what I think is so significantly reduced that he's got to do everything he possibly can to get it back. Even if that means filing these claims where you're out here. I would never file a claim like this if I were him unless I guess there was that much money on the line. Because from a PR perspective, my gosh, what do we think, people? Does this play well or does this play poorly for the boy?
I remember when I initially saw this, I was like, wow, Drake, this is why they say the things about you that they do. Man. This is some certified, forget being certified lover boy. This is some certified ball-headed hoe try to sue your way out of a rap battle, you know, that you've already lost.
Very Karen-esque.
Yeah. But you know, but also, once again, we've all talked about it. I've talked about it specifically about how these tricks are played.
Oh, yeah.
How, yes, there are regulatory situations to where I can't, if I've got an artist I believe in, I can't run up to my local Radio 1 or iHeartRadio station and drop off a bag of money and say I need 20 spins in prime time for this. Now, can you do that for these streaming services? This is where the laws have not been keeping up with the technology.
Right.
Okay. Because I 100% believe that if you want to get on a playlist, you can write a check or do whatever you can do. And there's, you know, the attorney general of said state is not going to, because, you know, these aren't even American companies. They're not going to run up and say, hey, wait a minute, did somebody give you a check to put this on Rap Caviar or whatever?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
How do you feel about this source deriving from an academics live stream?
Come on now.
I mean,
that's the question. I just want somebody to answer.
Foolishness. That's some foolishness. But once again, I don't know is because once again, I truly believe.
I'm not questioning the concept of the bots.
Yeah, because
I'm talking about where the source comes from.
I believe they've done this for Drake. Maybe
he's benefited from this.
Maybe yes, of course, because you know how the average person thinks about academics and his validity as a source of anything. But at the same time, I'm like, this is the foolishness that's been going on, whether you call it payola, whether you call it pay for play, whether you just call it taking a bag of money up to the office and getting some things done. Like right now with Drake doing this, because the thing is, I'm not saying he's wrong. He's not wrong in concept. I think he's wrong in strategy because, once again, I think it's some ball-headed hoe for you to run and get a lawyer when you've lost a rap battle.
Well, even
that's
the follow-up to this, which we probably can allude to after we talk about this.
Yeah.
But to me, this is bigger than the Kendrick and the Drake beef, so to speak. The situation we have here with streaming services.
And the manipulation of the numbers.
Yeah. So did Drake benefit from this? Drake has probably been benefiting from this for years.
Since he signed.
Yeah, we talk about this as him being a pop star. But the situation at hand is him recognizing something that possibly went wrong. Now, I'm not going to say that their source, meaning somebody that academics is interviewing and saying he only took $5,000. That's a little bit low for you to take, even if they're talking about giving you a percentage of the song or revenue.
I don't buy it.
First of all, I've been on the inside, and those numbers start in the six figures.
That's what I was going to say. That is very low for you to take. And in that particular contract, I understand there has to have been a gag order involved to where you cannot discuss what's going on. You don't think these people cross their T's and dot their I's as a record company? We already know that record companies are crooked. I mean, regardless of the music or whoever you like or whoever you enjoy, when it comes down to it, it's a business. It's capitalism at the end of the day. And we want to make money because if they make money, we make even more money. This particular song, whether I was out doing something that didn't have anything to do with the radio or streaming, in a club, at a barbecue, at any kind of function, this was going off.
The record was everywhere.
And, go ahead.
Go ahead, Lone.
I was just going to say, I think this is the wrong conversation to have. I think that the overarching thing that Drake is bringing to the table is the most important thing. That
The system can be
UMG
manipulated.
is in bed with Spotify.
Yes.
And it's wrong.
Mm-hmm. I agree with
and everything else doesn't matter. The fact that Drake is doing this, whether he's because his feelings are hurt or the reasons why he's doing it, I think all that doesn't matter. I think what this does is it highlights whether he did this accidental or on purpose. I think this brings something to light that is necessary to be brought to light that nobody except a major artist could bring to light.
That will have the power, the cachet to be able to do it. Is that
And
what
have
you're
the
saying?
money.
I've been saying this for years on the show.
We've talked about this. Yeah.
Look, and
YouTube creators have been talking about this. This is something that's been known that these
Things
entities
happen.
are in bed with each other.
Yes,
and that it's all foul and that it's all manipulative and it's all wrong. It's all bad. But like the thing is if this is true about Kendrick, it is unequivocally true about Drake.
Yes.
So who cares? Like as far as a lawsuit is concerned, as far as like whether it's true or not, it's completely irrelevant. I think it just happens in general, and I think it has nothing to really do with Drake individually and Kendrick individually and these major artists individually. I think it has to do with the stakeholders and them wanting to inflate the number and who they think that is. Where can we make our money this week? These two artists are popping off. Cool. Let's throw some stuff into them and push them to the top because that's what's going to work right now. I think that's what it is. I think it's very simple.
You can. Look, I've talked about this before on so many levels. You can there is somebody that presses the button.
100%.
Like I YouTube sent me my, end of the year, algorithm, whatever. And I looked at it and I was like, it says the podcast I listened to more than anything was Drink Champs. And I don't even subscribe to Drink Champs. But it's like whenever I watch almost anything else, whether I'm watching our content and just trying
automatically to
it automatically goes to Drink Champs. That means the button has been pushed on Drink Champs. I remember Lil Nas X put out a song a few months ago.
It was trash.
But as soon as I went to my service with plays music throughout my my venue, the first song that came up for the entire weekend was this song that nobody cares about. Yes, they can hit the button on, but that doesn't mean it can get people to care because I don't remember the name of it. I don't remember one lyric. I don't remember the beat because it didn't ring off. Now, just because something that you hit the button on winds up ringing off, it doesn't mean that pushing certain things to the top of a list or the incestuous relationship between these streamers and these record companies is not wrong. But, I'm just saying that like, I've seen them try to push things like, going to the old school when I was in radio, we would do a thing to where, okay, this song by this artist who just happens to have a flyaway or some sort of sweepstakes, their song plays, going into the break the entire weekend. There was a button and a budget put behind. So this is they just call it something different. They don't call it payola anymore because that's a boogeyman word and that's illegal. But it doesn't mean that the system of checks and balances, which should be there, has never been there in radio and records or streaming and whatever we have now.
It's crazy. Lone makes a very good point. Matter of fact, everyone thus far has made a great point about things that we have alluded to in the past and talked about in terms of the BS, the bull. Terms of the streaming and the bots and all that type of stuff. And I think what's funny for me is being caught in the middle because to Lone's point, when he talks about what's really important, it's I can speak to it, and we all can, however you want to, dissect it. We can speak to it from the consumer side and the creative side. Mm-hmm. The consumer side
or the business side. Because as an artist and as a creator, yes, I love when people get exposed when they're doing bullshit as it relates to streaming and all that, because we've always talked about half a penny, quarter of a penny, and all these other crazy numbers that we've, had to deal with up until this point. So I get that part of it. And then the battle side of it is like, yo, this is coming off the battle. Like, you chose to use this to make you look like, I guess, Robin Hood in the battle as you're trying to save everybody from that standpoint. But I can see both sides. And Lone is the first person to make me think about that, because it's really about the exposure. The whole argument is
Drake,
the music.
I hope Drake wins this lawsuit. It's a petition. It's not a lawsuit.
But what I'm saying is I'm giving you peas for bringing that to the light, because at the end of the day, as a creative, that's what it's about.
He just explained it different.
He did, but you broke it down very well, bro. Like, I got to give you peas for that.
Look, if Drake is the one that winds up burning the system down with this petition, then I think that would be awesome.
Yeah,
I just think it's a hoe ass response.
It is.
For sure.
It is. It's just a situation where honestly, Drake should have took the opportunity to gather lots of other artists together and do this on a united front.
I like that.
Versus, I'm going to do this or drop this news right when Kendrick drops his album. It's almost like payback type situation.
That's what I mean. Like,
I know it's not Drake.
He's not.
It's not. No, listen.
He doesn't even know what he's doing.
What I'm saying, this is not.
Thank you.
This is not Kendrick versus Drake here.
For sure.
Yes.
This is not Kendrick. This is an artist versus the machine.
Yeah.
This is artist versus AI. This is artist versus the freaking Matrix, so to speak, because that's where we're in musically.
And I think the irony of all this is that a very strong argument could be made that Drake is kind of part of the machine.
He's absolutely he is the machine.
He's the machine.
He's like, have you ever seen Superman?
Yeah.
The Superman with Richard Pryor in it, where the chick in the machine grabs her and makes her part of the machine.
Yeah.
Drake is that person musically.
It's like he cooked a Semtex and then forgot to throw it.
Yes.
Bro, he's
right now.
He's actually what he's talking
Shout out to all
about.
my Call of Duty fans out there.
Yeah.
He's actually what he's talking about, bro.
What happened with Drake is he may have puffed his chest out a little too much on this Kendrick Drake situation. If we're talking about Kendrick Drake,
Right.
It did not play out in his favor.
So if this does become a lawsuit and does become a thing where they have to search deeper into UMG
Discovery.
and Spotify and the discovery of all this stuff, I think that is a good thing in general for for music and creativity. What I would hope would happen at that point is that we need more bigger names and people than just like me and like YouTube creators that, you know, like Curtis King, who shouts to Curtis King and people like that who shout these things out to talk about these things, Greasy, I can't think of his name. He's the dude that engineered Killer Mike's album. He had something to say about this as well. It takes like a Drake, or it takes like a Kendrick or a Taylor Swift or something like that to like address what this is. It takes
kind of like how
somebody
Taylor Swift took on Ticketmaster.
Talk to him.
It takes somebody big enough to where like they're going to feel it. And that's the only way that you have to hit them in the pockets. And that's the only way that you can really kind of address this stuff, attack capital in that way.
I would tell Drake to...
I don't think he cares.
I know he doesn't care what I have to say, but
I don't think Drake cares about this. I think this is just about his ego. That's all I'm saying.
This is about his ego.
He actually fell into this and turned into Robin Hood.
It just happens to be that he's right in... what he's, it just happens to be a byproduct of, him losing this rap battle is something that honestly we've been talking about at this point for years.
True.
Now I would say, hey man, remember when Michael Jackson was talking about the evils of the music industry and Tommy Mottola and all these things? Get your security together.
Be careful.
Yeah. Don't be around any doctors or any drinks that you don't know.
Lead them people on,
because you are wading into the waters of power that you may not have a real concept of.
Prince as well.
Yeah.
He had to change his name to a symbol. Because of things like, seriously.
No,
he ain't lying.
I believe in the conspiracy of somebody saying, because when Michael Jackson talked about, I'm about to become a free agent, it wasn't that much longer until, he was no longer with us.
Can I pose a question?
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think about part 2?
So I was actually going to talk about
situation.
that. I was going to talk about that.
Part two what?
With Drake, his second legal action. What do y'all think about that?
Honestly, I don't care, but
I do.
I care about
why is because this makes it look more corny.
He already looks corny.
He looks corny, but this
how much more corny can you?
Lone, this makes him more corny.
Listen, I'm going to say this is because the people that are paying attention to this for the right reasons for this particular topic, as far as the UMG and Spotify scheme to artificially inflate a song.
Yeah.
Again, this is not specifically a Drake Kendrick thing. Drake is thinking it's a Drake and Kendrick thing. He doesn't even realize what he actually has in his hand.
My man.
So when he's getting wind of, okay, they don't even know what I'm really trying to do. I'm about to drop a defamation of character joint.
Right.
When it comes to this rap shit. Now, so that's when you turn into a Karen.
Yeah.
Because that's just soft. Because like you really don't want to admit personally, and your fans as well. And I rock with Drake. I'm trying to kind of tote the
bias line
line here.
Yeah.
This is real soft. As far as him wanting to call a defamation of character situation from a rap battle.
Yes.
And the reason why I say that is because, I mean, we've all witnessed rap battles from back in the day to now.
Yeah.
Anybody that's took an L, they took an L and moved on. He says questionable things that may not be true as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you're trying to get
wives and things like
come
that.
on, man. And you're trying to say that those are facts based on what you heard or alluded to. We all know that you tried to pay to get information on such and such.
Right.
And probably came from both sides. But when it comes to rapping in the game of rap, something that somebody says against you on a rap is not something that you take them to court over.
But even further from that, right? This even goes even more into cementing every single one of Kendrick's like statements against Drake.
Yes.
Like that you're not like us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what Rhapsody said. She tweeted that.
Oh, did she? Yeah, like this is literally like that. It's like you don't get it. Like that's like you calling me Eminem and me like, you know what? I'm calling my lawyer.
Yeah.
that'd be like if the other members of NWA tried to sue Ice Cube and be like, hey, we're not gay. We don't do all that gay stuff that you said.
Like, bro, weird, man.
This is one of the corniest things I've ever seen them.
This is one of the situations where they say that hip hop is dead. Yeah. Because of shit like this.
But again, this is why I say like I don't want to get like the importance that Drake accidentally fell into.
Yes.
Washed away by his
foolishness.
His foolishness. You know, like, I think the important piece here is the fact that Drake is trying to highlight the fact that UMG and Spotify are tricking everybody off.
We have to leave knowing that he's a cornball, but he fell into something that's very important.
But again,
we have to be able to leave and understand that that's what it is.
So the first part isn't an actual lawsuit, though.
It's a petition.
It's a petition.
But still,
I think he wants to get to the lawsuit for the defamation of character.
He might
more so than the lawsuit for this thing here,
which makes him even more corny.
Exactly.
To Jay's point, he's a bald-headed hoe, right? That's what he said.
No,
or he's just Canadian.
I did. I called it bald-headed hoe.
Yeah.
Don't forget the part. I feel you.
This is just very soft pop star energy.
I heard you were conflicted.
Yeah, I heard you were conflicted. All the way back then, I heard you was conflicted.
Drake is definitely in front of the dealership, like
waving his arms.
Y'all remember the last Rocky V?
No.
Do you remember Rocky V? You do.
Yes, I do.
Lone does. He just.
No, I guarantee you, Lone hasn't seen Rocky V.
Yes.
I might have seen it. I don't remember it because
George?
I know it's not that good of a movie. So continue.
You a hater. You remember George Washington? Don't do that, Jay Moore. We not about to do this. Remember George Washington, dude?
Yeah.
Remember when he said, "Touch me, I'll sue."
Yeah.
That's Drake.
Touch me, and I'll sue.
That's Drake.
It's George Washington Drake. Touch me and I'll sue. I'm gonna pull the clip up for you, Lon. I'm gonna send it to you.
Maybe I'll put it on top of it.
Yeah. Touch me and I'll sue.
Because you know what's crazy is if this had went Drake's way, we wouldn't hear anything about it
at all.
Kendrick would just go back and work.
He would
harder.
just go back to work, and I feel like Kendrick is the type of artist that no matter what was going to happen in this battle, he wasn't going to lose a fan base.
Right,
that's true.
Drake is upset because
people literally
he was called a and he wasn't like if you want to dissect the lyric, so to speak, he actually calls his homeboy a foul because he says certified lover boy, certified foul. He's talking about who he's associating with. So if you want to get down to semantics and what I was actually saying, they got to call Kendrick in the court to actually do a genius breakdown on hand. To pretty much be like, this is what I meant when I said
and that would be so stupid and unnecessary.
Especially if your boy is on that foolie.
Come on, man.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, you need to actually prove that your homeboy is not a foul and he don't got a funny case floating around right
this
now.
is so
If
corny,
you want
bro.
to if you want to
continue with the defamation situation, because if he actually is guilty of any of that type of energy, then you're actually calling more eyes on the situation than you probably need to. And then after this happens,
this is all stupid.
It is
This is
all
stupid, Lone.
He's all stupid.
This is
And
stupid.
if this happens and this fails, you just gave your arch nemesis more energy to shoot darts and machine guns at you.
But the thing is, Kendrick has already shot him off the cliff. Drake is no longer in that conversation.
So is Drake just crashing out at this point, as the kids say?
I think he's crashing out. I think this is a crash out moment. This is like him.
He wants to be left alone.
He's flailing his arms right now.
Yeah.
He's holding the Semtex.
Hey, man, part 2 of this is some of the corniest stuff I've ever seen in my life, man.
What was wild? So Drake was on a stream and he called
with XQC, the guy who can't. It's so hard to understand XQC.
Yeah.
Who the hell is that?
He called an R&B singer a fragile op. But you have a defamation case from a rap beef,
man,
on Kendrick because you lost and you really don't want to concede.
I don't know if I've ever seen someone be turned into Robin Hood and be a cornball in the same.
He's never been Robin Hood.
They trying to turn him into Robin Hood right now, rightfully so. As if
no, he's not. I don't even think it's that though. I think I don't even. He may not even realize. He may not.
I know he don't know. I'm talking about what they are trying to turn him into.
Who is
I
they?
know
Who is they?
The people you hate.
No, I don't think. I don't think anybody is though.
Bro, people are here championing this decision.
No,
I've seen it.
The music artists that we're talking about are not poor. So Robin Hood stole from the rich and gave to the poor.
Okay,
this
like
is a situation to where he's trying to make sure that the artists are winning. Essentially, regardless.
Yeah, he's not thinking about y'all.
Yeah,
he's
so Robin Hood is a bad comparison.
He wants to win.
Okay,
and he's mad. That's why his tour name. What is his tour name? Something.
I'll take that.
Something win. Something.
I don't even know.
It's something.
I mean, we haven't even mentioned the fact that he's launching his tour date on the same day as the Super Bowl.
As if that's going to affect the Super Bowl.
It's not. Again, all this is a distraction from the fact
from what's really going on.
And I think that's the important
that he
piece.
wants to burn the forest down.
Yeah, man. NewOldHeads.com for all the education you need this year. If you see it, like it, subscribe, leave us a review, 5-star review, because we deserve that. And if you don't, you hating at this point. Also, check out our Patreon options. We have some cool content that we're releasing. We appreciate the support. Y'all enjoy y'all Thanksgiving, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.